What's up, y'all? We're here again. Keep or sell. What are we gonna do today? Today, I'm gonna go through random records from the collection. The original intent of Keep or Sell. Last episode, I was up in Atlanta. You can check that out here or wherever YouTube makes it appear. I'm gonna be doing some more remote ones like that. 2 different cities by the end of the year. Not gonna say exactly where I'm gonna go yet. Let that be a surprise. But for now, we're gonna keep it right here in Only Child Audio. Go through this nice stack of records. Got all kinds of stuff in here. I just pulled some random things, took them out of their sleeves. They have to earn their way back into a sleeve. That's gonna be the deal for the show today. So let's get into it. To recap, we're gonna go through these, make sure that there's maybe some hidden samples on them, make sure that they're keepable, rediscover them for some new productions, rediscover them to sit and listen to and chill out with, or realize maybe I have too many records, maybe it's time to sell some of these records. And subscribe, like, do all those things, make sure you spread the channel. You know, we make hip hop here, we sell records, so let's try to make sure that people discover Uncommon Records NYC. Let's get into these right now. We're gonna start, I already got it on the turntable doing a sound check, but boom, Renaissance. So Renaissance is a mixed gender male and female progressive rock band. I don't know why I said it like that. It's just a female singer in the band, but in any case, it's cool record. It's got the lyrics on the inside, all that kind of thing. I've had Renaissance records for a long time. This one's in pretty good shape. I used to really like Renaissance. I should say, I don't know how much I sat and listened to Renaissance as much as other progressive rock, you know, like the mainstays, like King Crimson and Gentle Giant, Atomic Rooster, and some of the stuff I'm really into. It's a dramatic build-up. Like one of the songs that I did like. Like it borders into a little bit, forgive me, like corny, you know, progressive rock, but I do dig it, and the amount of like production that's on it in terms of like strings and that bass was really wicked on here. So yeah, I'm gonna keep it. It's Renaissance is not my favorite progressive rock band, but that doesn't mean they're not really good. It just means it's not my taste per se these days. But I think this particular Renaissance record has earned a sleeve. Sonny Rollins, G-Man. So randomly pulled this. It only has 3 songs on it. It does not have any band members I've heard of. This is obviously from the design, like it's a late era Sonny Rollins record, 1987. So it is called G-Man. That's like a Mariah Carey like note from a saxophone. Holy shit. That's loud. Well, if you like saxophones, this is the record for you. I think, you know, if I'm being honest, I'm probably not going to listen to this or use it for much. So I'm going to sell on Sonny Rollins, legendary jazz musician. Probably somebody out there will appreciate this a lot more than me. Next up, we have a record that normally sits right in the front of my crate right there, or actually right on the bottom down there. So it sits there because of alphabetizing. It's called Lighthouse. It's got a really sick cover. Just in and of itself, like, you know, I don't know if you could see it on the camera per se, but like there's a lighthouse like kind of cut into this silvery kind of cloudscape. It's got a cool kind of back design there too. how the audio processes, but this is hard pan. Like the distorted guitar is like right here, and the rest of the drums and the band is sort of here and in the middle. So it rocks. Like when you hear this shit in headphones, it's like you're on stage with these motherfuckers. See him in your mind. Yeah, say no more, man. This is a dope record. Wow, this is one of my favorites. I've thrown down on all these. I really like this. It's faster tempo than I usually fuck with just as a listener. Like it's a lot, but I mean it's a stereo record, and I pointed out because it sounds like it's from that early rock era, like before stereo. It's '69, so this is one of the probably first rock records that was in stereo, or at least amongst the first grip of them in '69, and they took full advantage, and it sounds so good. I really love this record. This has earned a sleeve back onto the rack. Another like amazing cover. I mean, you know, when you're a digger and you're looking for samples, you buy things based on cover. That's the way it works. You know, I think I talked about it on a different episode, I should say, where, you know, the Discogs era has kind of like eliminated that mystery of like, wow, look at this cover, what could be on here, from like digging for vinyl. But this is a really cool cover. You know, obviously, you know, back in the 70s, this is probably right around when the World Trade Center was built. So, you know, pretty amazing, you know, cover, obviously before the horrible history, but, you know, just sick now to see. Kind of shit I just have sitting around. My kind of shit. I mean, this is fusion jazz at its height, you know? I mean, this is 76, which is a little bit late, getting into the late era for when fusion was real raw, like jazz rock, but they pulled it off here. Couple cool notes. I noticed, this is CTI, so it's produced by Creed Taylor, so it's going to be pretty dope. It's also recorded at Van Gelder Studios, and if you haven't heard of Van Gelder Studios, look that up. They were a studio operation out of a small town in New Jersey, and they recorded some of the best albums of all time in jazz. I didn't even realize that they were recording fusion there, because they're known for like some of the 50s and 60s, at least 60s music that was done, and they kept going until the owner, I believe he passed or sold or something, but they kept going into the 2000s. I mean, that was the spot. Yeah, this is a keep. I like this Alan Holdsworth record a lot. Andres Volenweilder. I don't know if you really say his name with that weird accent or not, but Volenweilder. You know, people that dig records, that have dug records, they're familiar with Andres Volenweilder. I have a couple of records of his, usually very kind of, I mean, you can see him here. I'm glad my memory is right about something, because I thought this before. But he plays a harp, but it's like an electrified harp, and it's usually this very crystal, kind of high-end, new agey, but also jazz-ish, avant-garde kind of stuff. Okay. Getting a weird start here. Okay. I feel like I might have used this. Some of it sounds familiar, but I must have flipped it in a way that I don't hear right away. So, I'm going to sell this record. It's not because it's not cool, it's just I don't. It's very much what it is, and it's not the kind of music I really sit and listen to. And as I say a lot on this series, like, could I make something dope off of this? Absolutely. Like, this is a dope record. It's got some cool sounds and some stuff. Like, but this is not rhythm roulette. Like, this is keep or sell, and it's just like, do I need to keep this record? Not particularly. All right, this record I'm not that familiar with. I don't remember this. When I pulled it out kind of blindly, I was like, oh, okay. It's kind of hard to read. I hate records that have fonts that are hard to read, but we'll just hold this up for a moment. Let y'all see it. But Spandau Ballet. Those are some present horns. Like, that is somebody in that mix was like, oh. I guess this is a 12-inch because it looks like an album, but I'm gonna sell this. Not sure how this got here. It's not like a bad record or anything. It's produced and recorded really cleanly, but this is not really for me. All right, now we get to something that is a cover and an album that people have seen many times. Even people that don't collect records or dig or know anything about music have probably seen this cover just because it's so strange to somebody that doesn't have any context of why a cover like this was shot. I probably mentioned this in a past one because I had done a different Moog record. So, Switched on Bach, I probably got this from the Space Age Bachelor Pad, which is a legendary record store, in my opinion. It was a thrift shop that had huge wall of records in the village. I mentioned it on my song Pipe Dreams, and I remember getting this from there. And it doesn't have the price tag on it. They probably didn't price tag much stuff there, but I love that store. But point is, Switched on Bach. This is Walter Carlos. So pre-Wendy Carlos, pre-transition, Walter Carlos here. This is dope. I'm gonna keep it. I have to keep it. I'm obligated to keep it. It's Switched on Bach. I mean, how do you sell this? It's not worth like getting rid of a. This is a piece of music history. It really is, because this is one of the first records that gave like the synthesizer as an instrument, not just the Moog, but the synthesizer and synthesis, sort of a seat at the table of like real music by forcing it to play, stuff from Bach or stuff from Beethoven or stuff from, Mozart, and to put it on that level as an artistic, serious instrument. Nowadays we take that for granted, but they had to make synthesizer records with classical composers' music back then to prove that it wasn't a gimmick, to prove that it could be done, and to juxtapose those sounds. And I find that kind of fascinating. And there's all kinds of blips and blops that I can get off of here that are dope too. So definitely a keep. Point out the detail. If you can see, he's holding a then modern pair of headphones in his hand, which is kind of cool. 3 sold, 4 keeping so far. We're moving on. We got 3 records to go. Maynard Ferguson, Carnival. I'm gonna keep this. I like disco more than people realize. I like disco that's not popular. I like disco rhythms. There's some disco in here, there's some funk in here, there's some jazz in here, there's some jazz fusion and jazz rock in here, and I like it. I enjoy this record. I can see why I kept it, even though I'm not super familiar with Maynard Ferguson like that. But I do want to point out one thing about this cover. This is a cover artist, or at least a graphic designer that's after my aesthetic, right? So I'm big. You can tell from the records that come out from Uncommon Records. Shout out to Jazz Pants, who does most of the design, but has done most of the design over the span of almost 15 years for the label. We're heading into our 20th year overall, so he's been there from almost the beginning. And one thing I stress is, like, I want the title on the cover. Like, it has to be. I don't care how trendy people want to make not having the album title and the name on the cover, right? So I come from that era, where that's what you would get. And right here, Maynard Ferguson Carnival, I read this really easily. Boom, I told you exactly what it was. As I'm looking at the record, I'm realizing that it actually says in the streamers Maynard Ferguson Carnival. And maybe it was obvious to some of y'all that watched this the first time I held this up. It was not obvious to me until now. And somebody at this label was like, that's not obvious enough. I don't know. If you held it like this, I think you still need that. Little things. I love that about cover art. Rock Generation. I feel like I've done some shit with this record, because this is sometimes when a record doesn't have a compelling cover, you kind of remember it if it's got some shit on it. So this might be one of those, or maybe I'm remembering it wrong. This is Graham Bond, who is really at the forefront of jazz rock in England and early progressive, like bluesish kind of progressive rock that kind of led to the progressive scene after, if I'm remembering him right. And I am, because this is, you can tell by the lineup here. So lineup is Graham Bond on organ, alto sax, vocals, Ginger Baker from Cream on drums, Jack Bruce from Cream, among other things, on bass, harmonics, vocals, Dick Hextall Smith on tenor sax. Dick Hextall Smith, I believe, I know he's a horn player, but I believe he was in Coliseum. That yada yada yada. A lot of dope progressive kind of. Cream and Coliseum and Graham Bond are kind of on the progressive side of things that use Fender Rhodes instead of hardcore synthesizers. So it had a little bit more of an analog sound, even though it was plugged in. So let's see if this is good. I've hyped this up a lot now.
As I was saying, don't forget, tomorrow we have Sonny Williamson, Wednesday Dick Morrissey and Bobby Breen, and don't forget Kloos Clique is open every day of the week except Thursday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday.
Thank you.
They don't want to know.
Live recording. I think I remember now. Rock Generation's a show from England at that time.
They don't want to know.
Get on with it. Now, actually, we could.
Yeah, I mean, this is, like I said, it's actually exactly as I said. So, this is the beginning. It even says here on here, beginning of jazz rock. But this is blues. This is at least English version of blues, or blues-inspired rock, I guess is the best way to say it. I'm honestly not that crazy about it. Again, like we talked about with Switched on Bach, this is kind of a historical piece if you're really into this. But I'm not particularly into this kind of music, and this is all recorded live, so it kind of sounds like shit. So, not really my thing, so I'm going to sell it. I do want to point out, since we're doing this today, other music. So, that's pretty cool. I paid $10 for it probably 20 years ago, so this is probably worth a little something, I guess. One more record. Boom. The Nice. The Nice. The Nice was Keith Emerson's first band, or at least first band that I know of that got signed to a major and put out music. Another cool footnote of the record there. It says demonstration record, which is kind of cool. Not for sale. Back when they were stamping instead of cutting dog ears. This is an early, again, this is another sort of historical record. This is, The Nice was a forerunner. They came out of playing backup for English blues singers, and then started their own band, broke out, and eventually evolved into very heavy progressive rock that was based a lot on classical music themes. And eventually that set Keith Emerson, who was the leader of this band, into Emerson, Lake and Palmer, where they embraced some of those like classical themes, but really went more into a harder rock experimental edge.
Virtualization occurs.
Way into bed.
So I know what you're thinking. You're thinking I'm going to sell this, but I'm not. I'm going to keep this record. Mainly because it's Keith Emerson in his early band, you know, noodling around and doing his thing with Davison and Jackson, which is important to me as a progressive rock fan. But there is some cool stuff on here that if I wanted to use it, I could, and I will at some point sit and listen to something like this, or at least want to have the ability to someday. So I respect this record enough to keep it. It's definitely part of my collection. So let's get into recapping here. 3, 4, 5, 6. So we went 6 and 4. That's a lot more sells than I thought, considering I pulled these not from like a pile on the floor that hadn't been gone through yet, like I did some of the early episodes, but from the actual crates of records that I'd already gone through. So, you know, let's go through the keeps. First of all, my favorite find of the day, Lighthouse. This is great. I'm gonna listen to this record. This is really, really cool. I dug that a lot. Right behind it, Alan Holdsworth. This is another great record. I really dig this a lot. What else we got? This Maynard Ferguson record. Fun record. I really enjoyed like listening to that. That was cool. And then we got this Renaissance record, which I think, I have a few other Renaissance records I might go through eventually, and this one will probably be The Survivor. I dig this record. I don't dislike Renaissance. It's just not, I don't like them as much as I used to have like 7 of their albums. Switched on Bach and The Nice to a lesser extent. Both sort of records that are historically really important for me to have and of interest to me. Ironically, both sort of take a lot from classical music and bring it into a modern music spectrum. We sold this Rock Generation record. This is a cool record to have, but it's not a cool record that I need to have personally. But again, I paid $10 for it like 20 years ago, so who knows? I don't know about this one. Spandau Ballet, there's just not a whole lot to go off of here. Maybe somebody else knows something about this, but I'm gonna sell that. Andres Volenweilder, I respect the record and the playing on it, but it's not really something I need to hold on to at the moment. And of course, I respect Sonny Rollins, G-Man. Cool album, not the kind of jazz that I really listen to very much, so I'm gonna sell that too. Alright, that is another episode of Keep or Sell. Make sure to like and subscribe to this video. Share it around if you know somebody that really likes vinyl or likes any of the artists that I talked about or whatever it might be. Make sure to keep it locked in here at this channel. We got some new shows coming that are going to present some different things and all that. And then Keep or Sell is going to keep moving too. So, peace, y'all. Thanks for being here. Yeah.